good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you may be watching this. It's time for this week's episode of Unlocked Car Chronicles from the book Unlocked Being Free from Your Dysfunctional Prison. And today I have my special guest, Shelly, who is. So today we're excited because we get some reader feedback today. So I'm going to let her tell a little bit about what she got from the book, from her thoughts. And we're just going to share a little bit about her thoughts and her reflections from the book. Shelly.
Well, first of all, I would like to say that it takes a lot of courage to be as transparent as Christina was about her life, about the things that happen to her. It takes a lot of courage to be able to share that with other people, because sometimes people are very judgmental or they lack empathy. But to speak up and speak about her story is very remarkable. So I would like to give a shout out to her for that. And secondly, the book is so good. If you haven't gotten it, I recommend that you do purchase it, because I'm telling you, it had me locked down. I could not put it down. But anyways, it was just very interesting to know a person that you see, as Sunday after Sunday at church, or that you talk to. It's very, it was very interesting to know that someone had been through such trauma, such hurt, and now you see them and you see the freedom, you see the constant, seeking after God and trying to enlighten God's people, especially women, about the traumas that she's gone through. I just think that was very remarkable as well. And some things, like, even though some of the things may not be relatable to me, I have so many people that I talk to and that I counsel on a week-to-week basis that have dealt with the things that she has dealt with. And the details of the things that she went through. Writing a book, I know that it takes a lot to write a book, but just capturing the details of it all, it was just so good to be able to experience, per se, through, her storytelling, exactly what she went through. And so I'm telling you, it took me, some things were funny, some things were very sad, but I was able to lock in and to see life from her eyes as a child, and during the time period that she actually went through those things.
Did you do any of the reflection questions? So people say, if you can hear.
Right.
Did you do any of the reflection questions?
I can't remember. I actually can't remember, because it's been so long since I read it. How long did you? I don't know. It's been a while. So, guys, sorry about that.
Okay, what's the one thing that you remember that stood out to you?
One thing that I remember that stood out to me is where you had to go back and you had to forgive those people, even though, there was so much trauma that, you experienced with those people, especially, your grandma, your mom. You just the courage to go back and forgive them and to do the soul work, because sometimes when people go through traumas, they go through different situations, they don't work on their deliverance, they don't work on trying to be free from those things. Sometimes people just wallow in the trauma and they don't work on trying to be free or healed from those things. And so that's what stood out to me is when you start talking about doing the soul work and forgiving those people, and making the steps to be free from those things, and which included forgiveness. That's what stood out to
I
me.
like the word that you just used, wallow, because for years before I did the soul work, that's what I was doing. I was wallowing in the trauma. I was, the self pity, victim mode, or whatever. But it got me nowhere, and I was miserable. And a lot of people don't realize it. Forgiveness is more for you than it
Absolutely.
is for them. Because even at the time when I had to go back to forgive, a lot of them was already dead. And it
Right.
wasn't like I could just be like, okay, hey, I forgive you,
Absolutely.
or I want to hash this out with you. Like, I need to hear you say I'm sorry. A lot of times when we go through things, like that person who hurt us or caused that traumatic event in our lives, they're no longer here. Or maybe we don't even know where they are. It could be somebody who raped you and
Right.
you don't know who it is. Or maybe you did know who it is, but either they're in jail or they left town or something, but you're still holding on and harboring that hurt and that pain. And so it's a choice that we have to make to say, you know what? I forgive you. And it's like I said, it's not for them, it's for you, because we're tussling. We're having sleepless nights. We're doing different things, whether it's alcohol, it's drugs, it's sex, it's, buying stuff or whatever it is that we're doing, trying to suppress that pain or trying to forget whatever happened, and they don't want to know about their business. They
Right.
sleeping good.
Absolutely.
They sleeping good at night. They living life doing whatever, but we're still hurting. And not only did I have to learn to not only forgive them, I had to forgive me.
Absolutely. I understand, and I can definitely relate to that, because even though I did not go through those same traumas, I did go through something, and we all go through something. And there's a period of time where you have to forgive yourself. Like, with my grandma, well, my granny, my dad's mom, on her deathbed, she shared some things with me and my mom, and I had to tell her that you have to forgive yourself. And she asked me how. And so I began to minister to her, and begin to minister to her, because in order for you to forgive yourself, you have to have that grace. You have to have that, you have to lock into God and ask Him to help you, to forgive yourself. And, but she had acknowledged what she had done wrong. And so she was at that point. And so she was able to get some sort of deliverance or resolve before she passed. So that was good. I'm sorry to cut in, but I had to interject in that part about forgiving yourselves, because so many times we leave that out, and then we go round and round in circles until we get that part right. So, so many times people, they're so some people, it's easy for them to forgive other people, but it's very hard for them to forgive themselves.
That's key. That's what I was just getting ready to say. That you can make a whole list and go through the whole gambit of forgiving other people, what they did, this, that, and the other, but you're still trying to figure out, but why am I still spinning in circles? Like, I forgave, and I really feel like I'm forgiven, but you haven't forgiven yourself, because when you don't forgive yourself, you're holding yourself hostage.
Absolutely.
Now the person is no longer holding you hostage. You've come out of the inner cell, but now you're in the outer cell, because you haven't forgiven yourself, so you're not truly free. Because we have to forgive ourselves, because when we don't, then we wind up self-sabotaging, self-condemnation. We wind up not following through with the things of God that we need to follow through with, or even the things in life, because now we're no longer holding the narrative of what they said about us or what they thought about us, but we're still holding or being held hostage by the narrative of what we think of ourselves.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
in that condemnation and self-sabotage. So you have to be able to forgive yourself
Absolutely.
ultimately, first and foremost, as well as being able to forgive others and being able to go forth and move forward. So was there anything else that was a pivotal point, Miss Shelly?
I think that's about it. You know, like I said, overall, it's a very good book. And it's just not for entertainment. It is actually for, you know, so that you can, sometimes we lack empathy, or we don't know, you know, what other people go through. And because sometimes we haven't experience that same thing, but it's still good to know other people's story, and God gives us a grace to have empathy, you know, for each other, and to have love and a compassion, you know. And I feel like if more women were to, you know, take a look at other people's story, and they can really, you know, within themselves, they can really know how to reach out to other people. Some of the isms and schisms will drop off. You know, so many
Mm-hmm.
things that women have toward each other, first of all, you know, will be able to drop off. And no longer will they be able to trauma bond, because so many times women they trauma bond, but
Right.
just knowing each other's story can really help, you know, help towards recovery, help towards making that step of deliverance, to know that, hey, if she went through it and she overcame, then, you know, the same thing, you know, could happen to me, you know, and I can overcome as well. So it's good to know that you're not alone in your situation or your circumstance, as well.
And that's true, because a lot of times we look at people and we think they have it all together, or a lot of times we envy them, or we're trying to compare ourselves to them, or I wish I had this, like they had it, or why does this come so easy for them and it doesn't for me. And a lot of times you're wishing you were something that somebody else was, and a lot of times they don't even want to be that, because you don't really know their story. But some people are afraid to tell their story because they don't want to be manipulated, they don't want to be looked down on, they don't want to be shunned. So yeah, it can be difficult telling your story, but that's why you have to do the soul work within yourself to be able to go and help somebody else once you have that resolve, once you are ready. Because a lot of times the enemy wants you to think that you're alone,
Right.
like you're the only one going through it, like nobody is going to understand, and that's not true. I remember I was at a retreat once, and one of the exercises was they had everybody close their eyes, and they just started rattling off things like who's been molested, who has been raped, who has been, hurt, who has, attempted suicide or thought about suicide. Now, mind you, everybody has their eyes closed, but if you've gone through any of those things, raise your hand. Then they said, now open your eyes. And literally, just about everybody in the room had their hand up.
Wow.
But you would have never known that
Right.
if you just walk in and you look at them by their appearance.
Absolutely.
Or how they carry themselves. Because a lot of times, what I had mastered for years, I lived behind the mask.
Absolutely.
I had I had masks to match every outfit. It was fashionable masks, it was cute masks, it was dirty masks, it was all kind of masks. But nobody really knew what I was going through. Even those that were closest to me, they knew bits and pieces of certain things, but they didn't really know the raw. They didn't really know the trauma. They didn't really know what I was dealing with in my mind on a day-to-day basis, what I was fighting constantly. Yeah, in the book I was very transparent, but I had to be, because God says people need to know.
Absolutely.
Because if they don't know your true story, your real story, it's like people get saved and they forget where they came from. Right. They get saved and they forget they was a hole in the street. Now they saved, sanctified, living for Jesus, and condemning everybody that's fornicating. Right. But you had a struggle.
Absolutely.
You had a vice.
All of us.
You know, whether it was sex, whether it was weed, it was alcohol, it was crack, it was whatever, you had a vice.
Absolutely.
And you may have gotten over it. So if you see somebody else with that same vice, why would you condemn them?
Right.
Instead of coming alongside of them and helping them to say, hey sis, there's a guy, hey bro, like I understand where you at, what you've gone through.
Absolutely.
Like this is what I did to help me get out.
Absolutely.
And be honest. You might have gotten out, I've said this before, and fell back in. But we don't want to talk about that.
Absolutely.
We don't want to talk about how we got out of something, but then we slipped and we fell back in, and then we had to fight our way out. Don't get caught in the condemnation of I fell back in, but use it as a tool. Like, yeah, this has happened. This happened. I fell back in this, and I had to fight my way back out. But I got out.
Right. Well, I see that, and that's why I can appreciate you and appreciate you writing the book, because you have a heart, you know, for this type of stuff, and that's your ministry to, you know, enlighten people, women, men, it doesn't matter who it is, but you're being a beacon of light to, you know, not be that person that, you know, because sometimes people can share the same things, like you said, that we've gone through, but they get into condemnation, and we know that it's not the Spirit of God. But I appreciate you being able to have the heart, to have the gall, the wherewithal to, you know, enlighten people and be that beacon of light, you know. And sometimes you just have to, you know, not focus on the ones that are doing all of this condemnation and stuff like that, and you have to be, you know, the change. And that's what I've seen, you know, with you, you know, ministering to women, and being that actual change. And it was a very good experience, even at the book signing. That was such a, you know, a good experience, because I could see that that was very in and of itself, even though, you know, when you're planning something and you're doing something, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. But I could even see that that was another level of freedom, and it was very freeing to you, just to be there to support you and to be at your book signing. And even the women involved, you could just see it was just such a freeing spirit, you know, in the atmosphere, where people can actually come and get your book and gain knowledge and gain wisdom, and to see exactly how you went through your situation, but how you came out and the steps that you made to do it. It really gives courage. And so I really commend you, you know, for that, for even just stepping out and just going public and handing out your books and having a book signing, because other people need to see that example, and they need to see that, hey, you know, she went through this, but she's not broke down, she's not curled up in the corner anymore. And I know deliverance, it takes there's a process to deliverance. You're not going to get it all at once, but just to actually see how you fought through the, you know, the trauma and the dysfunction and everything that came with it, even emotionally, spiritually, to see how you fought through it was just very encouraging. It was very encouraging. So I do commend you for that.
Thank you. It was a process.
Yeah.
My husband is off camera because he said I be trying to make him talk. You just shake your head that it was a process. Because he was there for the process. A lot of the things that happened BC before him.
Right.
But there were some things that happened during the time that, you know, we were together.
Residue.
Right, the residue and some other things that had came up. but he was there with me through the process. And like you say, it wasn't an easy process.
Right.
It took time, and there were times where I thought the process was done, and then I realized, no, it's not. I had to go through a process yesterday where I was like, I thought I was good. No, it wasn't. It was like, but when those things come up, one of the things that when I was going through inner healing with Dr. D. Reed, shout out to you. Um, she used to say, triggers are your friends. I looked at her like she was crazy. I'm like, what? I was like, ma'am, I'm sorry. That will not be my phrase. And she was just smile like, it's coming. It probably took about a year or so, but I was like, I think I called her and I said, you know what? You're right. Triggers are my friend. And she was like, oh, like the light bulb. I was like, yeah, because a trigger is not meant to set you back.
Right.
It's meant to inform you that, hey, it's something still there.
Right.
Like it's like, oh, that's a sensitive area. It's just like a wound that thank you, babe. It's an indicator. See, he's gonna jump in. I knew he was coming. I knew he was coming. Praise God. But it's an indicator. It's an indicator like to say, hey, you're still not good in that area. Or maybe like with a wound that's deep, it heals in layers. Because just like you have different layers of the skin, you know, the epidural, the subdural, the different layers. Well, as you're healing, you know, it begins to, you know, it heals. So it heals by layers. So you're looking at the top layer thinking, oh, well, it's closed up, it's good. But if you push hard enough, you're going to wince because it's still pain.
Absolutely.
Because those underlying layers are still healing.
Right.
So a lot of times we look at that outer layer thinking, oh, well, we've gotten past that. We're good because it's been a year. It's been 6 months, or it could be 2 years, however long. And that situation or that thing hasn't bothered you. But now here we come, and then it's like, oh, wait. Something's rising up. Like, where did that come from? I thought I was good with that. That's that last layer. That's that, you know, that sub layer that's saying, hey, I'm still tender. Like I'm not fully healed yet. It's like, hey, check that.
Right, like something's still there.
You know? Right. It's like something is still there, and you need to check that. Absolutely. Like recognize what it is. That. Exactly. Recognize what it is before you fall into the hole.
Right.
The trigger is not meant to put you in the hole. It's the indicator light to say, hey, warning, warning, something is happening that you need to look into this and take care of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that was good. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as well.
We're having a day trip, y'all. So we just wanted to come on and do the, you know, interview because she did get a chance to read the book and was there. So I hope that this episode enlightened you, that it helped you, that it gave you some tools, some suggestions. If it helped you, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Again, if you don't have the book, Unlock Being Free from Your Dysfunctional Prison, it is on Amazon. You can also go to my website, www.christinaladonna.com. You can order it from there. If you order from the website, you will get an autograph copy that will be sent to you. But again, remember, don't allow the traumas of your past to imprison your future. It's time to get unlocked. Welcome to your new journey. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.